So before we get to it, welcome to Derry. Allow us for a little bit to, just do a special RIP tribute to the man, the myth, the legend that is Rob Reiner. Um,
Right.
so not to say too long, I woke up on Monday morning to the news. Ricardo, you just like I saw your message, right? I just saw also Rob Reiner. Like, what happened to Rob Reiner? Okay. In my head, I'm thinking with the way how celebrity deaths have been this year, right? And at the time of us recording this, I'm not familiar with the guy. Well, the actor who starred in the Buck Rogers show, right? He passed away, right, at 82.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
just there thinking, like, okay, it's one of those situations, right, where Rob Reiner died of old age, right? I'm here
True.
seeing his body was found, and
Yeah.
his wife's body was found at their home. They were murdered, and the
Mhm.
son is the main suspect. I was like, what? I think to me,
Yeah.
this is the biggest celebrity death that we've gotten this year. The most shocking that we've gotten, even more shocking than
Yeah.
Gene Hackman's death, right?
Right.
Very
Yeah.
more shocking in my opinion. That's just the mere fact that Rob Reiner was murdered, you know what I mean? A guy that, I mean, he gave us some of the best films that we've ever seen in our lives, right? Whether it's The Princess Bride, whether it's A Few Good
Oh
Men.
gosh, yeah.
I absolutely love that film, right? That's a film that I
Mhm.
regret I never got the chance to show my dad when he was alive, right? And he loves courtroom dramas, right?
Right.
And for me, that was technically my official introduction to Rob Reiner, right? Like I knew about Misery when it came out in 1990, but I was too young. I didn't know who Rob Reiner was, right? But when A Few
Right.
Good Men dropped, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. And I was so happy
Yeah.
to see that on TTT a few years later on, right? And I was in love with that film, right? Especially Jack Nicholson, right? Of course, that You Can't Handle the Truth moment is brilliant in my opinion, right? That's a
Yeah.
show that I have been meaning
Yeah.
to rewatch for years, right? But yeah, over the years, I would learn about The Princess Bride. It's a show that I absolutely enjoy. It's on the Criterion Collection right now. I need to have that in my life. Even though, admittedly, I am not in that. I'm not. I can't say I'm part of that era, that late '80s era, where it's like, boy, Princess Era was just one of my favorite films of the '80s. Because I was too young. I didn't know, but I appreciate it as a late '80s classic, right? For me, though, another film that I want in my collection is a little film called This Is Spinal Tap. This was a show that,
Right.
admittedly, it take a little while for me to get into because I'm not a rock fan, right? But because of the
Yeah.
mockumentary approach and what it was about, I was like, yeah, the show hard, like it's great because it just does a great job in terms of satirizing, yeah, the rock band, right? The rock band who
Yeah.
is too dumb to understand that they're being laughed at. It's like, especially with the whole dial up to 11 moment. I absolutely love that.
Yeah. It had a sequel that came out just this year,
Yes,
which I
yes,
didn't see.
yes. The end
Yeah.
continues, which
Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately is the last film that
The
Rob ever
last
came out,
one.
right?
Yeah.
But in retrospect, I love that he was able to at least do this film, right? Because you could tell that, yeah, I mean, you could tell that This Is Spinal Tap was near and dear to his heart, right? That's why it's made with so much love, even though you're meant to laugh at the band, right? But yeah, the mere fact that he was able to do a sequel to that is kind of amazing, and I will check it out as well, right? But as a wrap up here, right? So I was late to the Misery party, but I saw it, really enjoyed that. I was late to the Stand By Me party, saw it, absolutely love it. Still have not seen The American President. Sorry, Alicia, still haven't
Right.
seen it. I know it's a classic romantic comedy, still haven't seen it, but I
Yeah.
will. And when it came to his later films, like I remember The Bucket List being in theaters, but people didn't really like that film, so I was like, I wouldn't bother to watch that, right? But I know like the later, like the 2000s and the 2010s weren't too kind on him, but at least he was able to end his career on a somewhat strong note with that Spinal Tap sequel, right? But it's really the stuff from the
Mm-hmm.
80s and 90s that he will be forever known
Right.
for, right? But
Yeah.
the
Synonymous for yeah.
synonymous for, sorry, right? But at the end of the day, I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, he just put out some of the best work in his career, right? Some of the best films ever made, in my opinion, right? But it's just a shame that
Mhm.
this guy died in this way, right? And as we
Yeah.
are recording this,
Such a violent way.
such a
Gosh,
violent
boy.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the time of us recording this, we don't know the full details. We don't even know if his son, Nick, that's his name, if he really was involved in it, right? But I would not be surprised if he actually was. But boy,
Well,
if he
yeah.
is,
Well,
well,
the son has,
Well,
from what I understand, the
yeah.
son has been arrested. So,
Yeah.
uh,
And I think he has $4 million bail, but or is there
yeah,
no
something
bail?
like that.
Uh-huh.
Like yeah, but Rob Reiner made a movie about loosely about his son called Bean Charlie around 10 years ago.
Yes, I heard about that. Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that's true.
yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's like stuff like Primary Colors. I like him in that,
Oh, still
which is
haven't
really
seen that.
similar to American. Yeah, really similar to American President, but we have Primary Colors. I like him in that. Yeah. I just think him as just a great director. Really, really unfortunate stuff. Really, really, really sad stuff.
Yeah. Well, Ricardo, you take it away from them from here, man. But yeah, I mean, not much more I could say, boy. But yeah, hands down, the most shocking celebrity death we've gotten this year. And just when I thought that Gene Hackman's death, well, him and his wife
Right.
and the dog couldn't top that, boy. Like him and his no Rob and his wife, boy. Like Jesus Christ, boy.
Yeah.
But
But that's why I thought.
R.I.P. to a true legend, boy. R.I.P.
Yeah, that's why I thought happened.
Yes.
I was like, oh, it's another Gene Hackman kind of situation. I like, oh, yeah, murdered and it's his son, Dread. Like, wait, Dread, what's going
Yeah,
on, boy?
because Rob
Rather,
Reiner was 78, I think. Yeah, it was
yeah, yeah,
78.
yeah. It
Yeah.
sounds like in his
78. And
early 30s or whatever.
but again, I just love the fact that he was just able to do a sequel, like his first sequel and only sequel, yet one of his best films. That's amazing. I admire that. At least he was able to end his career on a somewhat high note, and I can't be mad at that, right? But Ricardo, take
Yeah.
it away before we get to Alicia and before we get into Welcome to Derry. Yeah, your quick history with Rob Reiner's films and stuff.
No, yeah, nothing about it that you didn't cover. Misery. Just great director, great voice. He showed up in the other day, boy. Oh, he was in Leonardo DiCaprio movie, and that he's like show up as little cameos and really funny stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
genuinely funny dude.
Wolf of Wall Street. I
Wall
forgot
Street,
he
right?
was in
Wolf of Wall
that,
Street.
right? And yeah,
Yeah.
he
But
was
he's like,
great in that bit. Yeah.
yeah. He just pop up. He pop up. He's like a decent Hollywood, great writer and actor. Meathead from All in the Family back in the days. Yeah. Just a great loss and thing. And it have some political machinations involving the whole thing, some fallout and with Trump and some crap because they had to make it about itself. Um, but from what I understand, he was putting out a documentary, anti-Trump documentary. That was the whole thing. So I don't know if that was relevant at all. I don't think it was, but it's stuff like that. But yeah, he's a real talent and is really lost a good one.
Yeah, one other thing I always loved Rob about back in the days when I used to watch TCM, right, to the classic movies. There was a show called The Essentials, right, where he would
Right.
introduce all these classic films, and I will tune into that because yeah, I used to watch TCM. That was where I was educated on just classic films, and whatnot, right. So the mere fact that he got his own show to talk about great films, right,
Right.
really inspired me as well, right. But yeah, Alicia, you could close things off. Because I know that he adapted two great Stephen King novels. That would be Misery and Stand by Me. But yeah, your
Yes.
take on Rob Reiner, his career, his films, those two films that I mentioned, and of course his unfortunate passing.
Well, for me, Rob Reiner, like you said, he adapted. He made a very good film adaptation of two of Stephen King's best novels. Very good adaptation, and we know over the years we've gotten some okay film adaptations of Stephen King novels, but these are happen to be two of the best ones from the same director. And then of course there's my favorite, absolute favorite, that was a big part of my childhood, which was Princess Bride, which I rewatch at least once a year because it's just that hit of nostalgia and comfort for me with Princess Bride. I mean, I know it's cheese, but it's good cheese, you know. And for me, it was the same thing. I was just very shocked about it, about how violent that was, and I I don't know. Like I said, his son has been charged, but you know, innocent until proven guilty. I always say. But on the other end of the spectrum, if he really, really did do it, I'm sorry, but you had to be a different level of evil to watch your two parents and stab them to death. No.
Yeah, well, I know he had some like severe drug problems and whatever it is. So I know it's a
Yeah,
troublesome.
yeah,
I don't really know what the whole thing, but as I say, is that like to me, if you churn, if you deal with your churn, you deal with churn one time, boy. It's not a serious thing with that. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
know,
Because then they grow up to be monsters,
yeah, it's really
uncontrollable.
terrible. Yeah,
Yeah.
sort of your
So
churn fast, boy. Sort of your churn
yeah,
don't
you
have
have to.
this.
You have to. Anyway, R.I.P. Rob Reiner.
25 disappearances, 7 confirmed deaths, mostly children. Something bad's coming.
What is that?
All right. So with that being said, let's finally talk about the first season of It. Welcome to Derry, right? Alicia, as you're here, I would love for you to do the synopsis for this, right? And then we could we will do a spoiler-free review of this, right? Because reason being is that in the description of this video, I will list out all of Alicia's reviews of every episode. That'll be 8 in total. So yeah, she's been doing quick reviews of every episode as it dropped. So if you want to, see more spoiler review, more spoiler talk, basically, you can check those out, right? But yeah, so I'll just do a quick preamble here, right? Yeah, so of course, Welcome to Derry is the prequel series, the official prequel to, the duology that is It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2 from 2019, right? So It Chapter 1, I really enjoyed it. It's not one of my favorite films or horror films of all time. But as far as Stephen King adaptations go, it's one of the more enjoyable ones that I've experienced, right? It did take me back to the 1990 It film, which, yes, scarred me and many kids, when it came out, through AVM. I know you were one of them, Alicia. Yeah, just
Oh yes.
again, just the image of Pennywise, the Tim Curry Pennywise in a manhole, in a drain, sorry,
Yeah.
talking to a kid. It's like what? Like that scared me, that legit scared me, right? It scared many kids, right?
I think it scared a lot of people.
Yeah. But that's the
I had I had a friend, sorry to interrupt, but I had a friend that said after the shower scene, he basically was traumatized. He said he couldn't take a shower for weeks.
all right, yes, yes.
Ew.
That shower scene. Yep. That was a great scene. That was a great scene, yeah.
Yeah, the drain hole.
Yeah, yes, exactly, yeah. But yeah, I mean, It Chapter 1, I enjoyed. I saw it in theaters. I saw both in theaters, right? For me,
Right.
this really put Bill Skarsgård in the limelight for me because he was brilliant as Pennywise, though, just so
Yeah.
menacing and just so maniacal at the same time. Because this show for me reminded me how much of a sadistic son of a bitch Pennywise is, boy. He's a guy who just loved to mess with people. Like he just
Oh,
he
yeah.
just revels in torturing people, like mentally, before he even kills you and eats you, right? 'Cause yeah, he's technically
But
cannibalistic as well.
mostly children though. The
Yeah,
messed
boy.
up thing is mostly children as target.
Yeah, and how he does that under the whole clown guise is kind of
Yeah.
it's twisted though, but how Bill embodied that though was brilliant in my opinion, right? And for me, this was my introduction to Andy Muschietti, right? Who would
Yeah.
direct the sequel as well, right? The sequel is utter trash. Hated it. I wanted to enjoy it because this was, Andy
Yeah.
doing the whole Dune thing, right? And it's so funny that he did this before Denis Villeneuve applied the same technique to his Dune films, right? Which I absolutely love, right? Which is like, instead of trying to tell the story in 3 hours, let me split it up into 2 movies, right? First one was with the kids, that makes sense. Second one with the adults, that makes sense, right? But the second one, I just hated. The scares fell flat, the story just didn't work, and it was just underwhelming across the board. I saw
Yeah,
this in
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I hate chapter 2.
Yeah, and I saw this in IMAX on my birthday. And
Oh
I
boy.
was like me and Ricardo, we saw it, and we just found a bar afterwards. Like, boy, the show's real trash. No, boy,
I want my
why you
money back.
drag me to watch this? Why you drag me to watch it? Even though we all clicked, we both said yes, this is where we're gonna go. I was just telling Ricardo, yeah, why you drag me to watch this shit, bro? What was this, right? But
On
yeah,
my birthday of all things.
yeah, on my birthday, though, on my birthday, right? But let's wrap things up, right? So I never thought that we would get a series out of this, right? Especially
Yeah,
after Andy gave us the underwhelming Flash movie. I was like, oh, okay, well, at least I am glad that you are still working with Warner. Okay, that's cool, right? But what makes this show
yeah,
interesting is that it's Warner Brothers and HBO, and I'll talk about
right.
how that team up actually works in favor of this show, right? Because this show does something so remarkable. And I think this is why I love the show so much, right? Is that pairing between Warner Brothers and HBO, right? But more on that in
Hmm.
my review of it, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
Alicia, in a nutshell, welcome to Derry. What was it about?
Well, basically, Welcome to Derry is a prequel to those events that happened in the first two films. It takes place in 1962, where basically the its entity or the Pennywise entity has just come out from his 27 years hibernation once again, and once again kids start disappearing, and there's mayhem started in the town, and a whole bunch of violence is triggered. But the whole thing about it is because it's taking place in this particular era in America, the 1960s America, there's a lot of fuel that Pennywise could feed on. Because Pennywise, the entity itself, it feeds, it seems to feed on evil and so on and fear. So there's a lot of other very social issues going on here. Like there's a lot of racism, segregation going on. The military entered this small town of Derry as well too, and that's also creating tension among the residents. So there's a lot of fuel to feed this entity, all the tension and antagonistic stuff that's going on. And in between all that, you have these kids that, again, they are like the original Losers Club, and they are like the ancestors. Well, most of them are the ancestors of the Losers Club that's going to come in the future. That will eventually vanquish Pennywise once and for all. So the series goes on to explore both aspects of how the adults deal with Pennywise and how the children also deal with Pennywise and all the issues in between. But the thing about the series is it does it so well and spaces everything out in these 8 episodes that it sounds like a lot to take in, but it's never messy and convoluted.
Agreed. Yeah. So Ricardo, your take on Welcome to Derry.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. This is what Stranger Things should be. Like it kind of come back to full circle. I can never get into Stranger Things, mostly because I
Okay.
was so sick of I was so
Really?
sick of like
Okay. You're,
the
you're, you're one of those. Nah, it
I'm
leaning
one
too
of
much into 80s nostalgia. It's too
right,
much. That
right,
all right.
exactly.
But
And then and then
that's why I
Okay.
admire. All right, I admire Stranger Things for that. But at the same time, it finds a way to like it pays homage shit, but it also kind of
right,
subverts it as well. But I guess
right.
you're the type who
And
wants more subversion than homage. I guess. Okay.
well, my thing is that if it, just go back to the real deal, like just adapt, Stephen King stuff. Because it just feel like diet Stephen King stuff. That's how I always feel about Stranger Things thing. Couldn't get into the law, didn't care. And like, look, to be fair, I'm not like some super fan of this type of material, so it's not like I needed the itch scratch or anything like that. So like, if you're doing the real deal, if you have a choice between Coke and Diet Coke, you choose Coke, right? That's how I felt about it. That with this new show, this has so much potential because I was like, well, it's gonna do it, but they could do all the extra like weird stuff, like Dark Tower could pop up, or look, I don't think I don't expect Langoliers to show up anytime soon, right? But like Dark Tower stuff and the expanded universe and all the extra shit, not just like it could start off with it, but there's a lot of potential, and just seeing how well made it is. From a production standpoint, it look great, and yeah, see, we can have in a moment, yeah, right now, one of the best movies of the year, also adapted, came out this year, really enjoying his stuff and material. And so this coming out, I didn't expect this to be as well made as it was. And mostly because of like a couple actors. this fella he was in the, so I tried to figure out where he was from, and he was in a show that I used to watch back in the days that kind of like which was the Newsroom, and he is great in this. I was like, oh shit, they could give he something though. Oh god, what's the actor name, boy? Who played the one who could who could go into dreams and control it?
Or you mean
Chris Cho,
Sorry.
the one who plays the color
the
you're talking
Coloran.
about? That's Chris Cho.
Although I was confusing him because I know he was from some TV show. So at first, off the top of my head, I thought he was the black guy from Psych. Like, no, that's not him. Then I was checking
No.
and like, oh, yeah, right. He was in the Newsroom, right? He played the camera guy, and he's a great character in that. I really enjoyed this. He had a little arc in it, and it was like a really fun arc. And like, oh shit, this is the same guy. And he comes back, and it's like, oh, they could totally give him a spin-off. I thought he was great in this, like absolutely
Oh
great
yeah,
in this.
he is excellent.
Then Skarsgård as Pennywise, he is excellent in this series. Like, oh yeah, they bring him back. Like they spend the money. Like, 'cause I thought they would get like some other actor and just do some quick bullshit. No. Skarsgård come back, solid stuff. And then they just make a bunch of great callbacks to the movie. Bring back some of the actors. They do especially that ending. And they just tell like good world building story. This girl in it, she really good in this. What's her name? Taylor Page.
Yes. She was
Taylor
great.
Page. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She was one of my favorite characters. I kept holding my breath, saying, "Oh, please don't let him kill her! Please don't let him kill her."
But what they do, and this is what what you call him, Stephen King does well in his writing, is that what he does very well is that he will put the evil concept into the conceit, but he never like takes away from the blameness. It's like no, the evil, they're attracted to the evil. They don't cause the evil. Like I like that. Like they always never take away the agency and blame of evil. He always plays with a conceit with a lot of like Americana. He always did this. So a lot of anti-religion, a lot of making fun of that kind of stuff. So like that's that opening sequence is great stuff. It's like, oh yeah, right. Look at this happy-go-lucky tongue and everybody nice, but like it next to like some Indian burial ground or like some old slave plantation that they bury underwater, how many years ago, whatever it is. He's always play with that, and it works. It totally works. And this I find this season was really good, and ending that final episode is a great finale. Excellent finale. That is how it come back full circle.
Yep.
Episode 7 is really good. Which one is episode 7? I think with this amazing black and white sequence inside the hospital.
Yes.
It's episode 7. Yeah.
That's the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is all good stuff though, and this is just really exceptionally made. I really hope we don't only do Pennywise stuff. Like if they're doing more, do the general like like the the final episode felt like a little bit like The Mist, because like, oh yeah, right, that was a Stephen King thing too.
Yeah, I spoke about that.
Yeah. And then we get oh god, like I don't expect them to do Langoliers, right? They don't need to do that, but they can do the call him the cowboy that this fella play. In Dark Tower.
Idris Elba. Yeah. I never watched that because I heard it was trash.
It's kind of bad.
No, it is trash.
The idea is good. God, there's Dark Tower cowboy again, boy, the gunslinger. The gunslinger, right? Roland Deschain. Okay. Yeah, they can bring him in, like do some stuff with that. Yes, that's just general Stephen King. Like all the rest of the world building. Like if you could somehow pull all of that world building into this, it could totally like I would love to see all of this. And I just when I saw that first episode, like there's a real potential dread. Real potential going on. But even without that, it's just a good story. They tell a really solid story with Pennywise and Pennywise in context with these other characters and how to have him in the previous cycle, and then they tell that, and then the final episode is like, okay, right, it ends off in a perfect place here. This was excellent stuff. It's some of the best television for the year, in my opinion. I just thought this is really well done, and I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I can. As I said, I am not a Stranger Things person because again, Stranger Things is Diet Coke. There's a real deal. Just do adapt more Stephen King shit. If you have to, like that's to me the real approach to this.
Right. Well, I will just share my review and then we'll close off at Alicia, right? Then we'll give ratings. Yeah, like you guys, I absolutely enjoy this, right? For me, I am not versed in all things Stephen King. I just know, I just know the films. I don't really know everything that went down in the books. I don't know what was adapted to film. I don't know these things, right? So I just love the fact that this show was not just was not only there or designed, to just give us background into Pennywise and the town of Derry, but also how it connects to other Stephen King novels, right? So I heard about the Shawshank stuff. That was just spoiled to me, right? For me, sorry. It's like, okay, one or two references to films, all right, I get that, right? Okay, Dick Halloran, from The Shining, greatest horror film of all time. All right, cool, cool, cool. But like, it's just the possibilities that are left with the show here that it could touch on other Stephen King novels, right? So, it's broadening the world of this Stephen King universe, or I'm assuming one of his universes. Like, if you all were to tell me that all of his books are connected, I'd be like, you serious? Like, all of them? Sam by Me, Misery, all that connected? Maybe, I don't know. But I don't think so. But that's like,
Well, he says so. Stephen King says so.
All Stephen King's book is a shared multiverse.
Yeah,
well,
yeah. It's in the same
holy crap. I didn't
universe.
even know
Yeah,
that.
I thought you knew
Yeah.
that. I thought you knew that. Okay.
No,
Yeah,
I will, okay.
All are in the same universe, yeah.
So,
It's mostly Dark Tower. I think Dark Tower connects some kind of threads all of them together.
all right.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I think for me it's just because of how diverse Stephen King's novels are, right? But because of how homegrown they are, especially with a majority of them set in Maine, I guess it makes sense now. But it's just like just when you hear it now, like all these books are connected, like really? But I guess with the decades long span of his career, it kind of makes sense, right? So I like that this show at least sort of showed me that, at least it addressed that, right? Because I haven't really seen that with other recent adaptations of his novels, right? But yeah, this absolutely worked for me. For me, I think the reason why I enjoy it so much, right, as I alluded to before, is Warner Brothers and HBO. This feels like how an HBO series plays out, right? Where it touches on very dark subject matter in a mature way. Yes, there will be the language and the violence and stuff like that, right? And yes, there will be the jaw-dropping moment, like case in point, episode 7, which, yes, hands down, is the best episode. There's one reason why a lot of people love that season, love that episode. I won't spoil that. But for me, though, is where they do the True Detective route now and give me a long take. I was like, I'm hoping that Ricardo is loving this too, because we love the long take stuff. Like, we love when, HBO, especially with True Detective, we love when they do that, right? But yeah, that long take that they do with that scene in the beginning, I love that, right? I absolutely love that, right? But it's what you expect from HBO shows, right? But also with Warner Brothers filmmaking, it's their blockbuster filmmaker, right? So it's just this nice merger, this nice mix of HBO mature TV show goodness mixed with the big budget. Well, let's say the big budget goodness that you expect from a Warner Brothers movie, right? And I say this also too because of how the show is able to tackle mature subject matter. Let me just say from the adult perspective with the whole racism angle, right? But then with the kids and what they deal with Pennywise, right? So you get that whole racism examination, but then you also get these kids on this adventure of sorts where there's like a lot of fear, there's a lot of terror, but there's also like all these like heartbreaking and heartwarming moments involving the kids, right? You get that in this one show, and I absolutely love that, right? Bill Skarsgård shines as Pennywise. I love the fact that he is given backstory here, and the backstory make a lot of sense. I love that it works within horror logic where, yeah, like you don't get the full details, but from horror perspective, it makes a lot of sense that this is how he becomes, in quotes, Pennywise. That makes sense, right? I love that there's still an air of mystery in terms of how he really becomes that, right? But in a weird Stephen King kind of logic, it makes a lot of sense, right? I thought that the performances were great though, especially for the kids though, because none of them I know. Like, I am introduced to pretty much all the kids. I thought that everybody was likable for the most part. I felt for them. I love that they were able to shine in a show that touches on a clown that kills kids and kills adults, and it's also set, in times where racism is still rampant in the States, and they still shine there, right? And speaking of shining, Chris Chalk, who, yeah, for some odd reason, I was wondering if it was that dude who played Mr. Terrific. I think it's because it's Warner Brothers properties, and I just thought that, this was him kind of playing, being in a TV show now. I think that's why I got confused, right? But yeah, him as Dick Halloran, who is one of my favorite characters from The Shining, was great. I love that he's given backstory. I love that they kind of established, oh, they are untapped powers of The Shining, and unfortunately, now that they're tapped now, this becomes a huge detriment to him, and you see how he deals with that, right? Just the adults who are involved as well, especially the black characters, and what they have to deal with, especially being in the town of Derry. James Remar, though, he's great as well as the antagonist here. And I love that there's a logic to his heel turn. That's all I'll say. Don't spoil anything, right? It at
Twisted logic.
first, yeah, at first it's twisted, very twisted logic. 'Cause on surface, I was like, I'm like, that makes little sense though. But
So
given the conceit of why,
basically, it's
what drive,
communism, huh?
exactly,
Matthew,
exactly, yeah, yeah,
it's
what,
communism. Yeah.
yeah, because he's driven to do this thing. Like, oh, okay, it's twisted logic, but it makes sense where they're coming from, right? The scares, though, there's some solid scaresness, some great VFX work there, boy, and just again with Pennywise, or just the way how he twists and contorts reality, boy, it just makes for some truly truly shocking moments, though. One moment, though. No, sorry, two moments involving umbilical cords. I was like, wow, boy, that is beyond messed up, but I
That
love it,
opening
boy. I
episode
was
though.
like,
Over
jeez,
the episode wild as hell.
yeah,
That opening
boy,
scene.
that was
In the car.
wild, and how
Yeah,
in the car,
I know
and
which
it
one
just
you're
kept
talking
going
about.
and kept
Ooh,
going and kept going and kept going, and then of course the scene in the movie theater, that was brilliant in my opinion, right? And of course,
yes.
that episode 8 was just a freaking fantastic way to end it off. I just love the final scene before we get to the credits. I love that as well. I love how it ties it chapter 1, and just the potential at the least, because I found this out the fact we're gonna get 2 other seasons, so we're gonna go back in time, right? So we're gonna see the 2 time periods that are explored in this show here, right? Which well, Alicia, you could allude to if you want to, right? But yeah, I absolutely enjoy this. This lived up to the hype and more. This is a top 5 for me. And again, it's just how it just reintroduced me to this wild and wicked world of Stephen King, though. This blew my mind. But for me, the reason why I enjoy this so much is just Warner Brothers filmmaking and HBO filmmaking just merged together, right? So just when you thought Penguin was the start of it all, boy, yeah, boy, it Welcome to Derry just come through with another pairing, another solid pairing between the two, man. And I just can't wait to see what we get next with these two powerhouses, right? Especially due to the fact that more than likely they will be under the Netflix umbrella. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out soon enough, right? But
Right.
I am hoping that we get those 2 seasons and they could just flesh out the world of Derry even more, right? And last but not least, I have to talk about that opening title sequence that is introduced officially on episode 2, right? Again, HBO just knocking it out the park in terms of just great opening credits intros, boy. I love this one so much. That song is an absolute earworm. The imagery works, and if you listen closely to the song, I love how the music distorts every time you see something very weird and disturbing. I absolutely love that. In terms of just this very sardonic look at Americana, I love every second, every shot, every frame of that intro sequence. But yeah, I will get to final thoughts rated in a bit, right? But yes, Alicia, take it away. Your thoughts on the season, and feel free to touch on any noteworthy Easter eggs that that Ricardo and I may or may not have picked up on.
Well, one of these first very noticeable Easter eggs is I don't remember which episode it was exactly, but you remember when the military fished out this vehicle with a bunch of skeletons in it? This was Simon de Caloran used his powers, and they fished out this van that had these bunch of skeletons. It was Easter egg to show, which I think is the direction Andy Muschietti has hinted that they want to go backwards, right? So 27 years prior would be 1935, which in the Stephen King novel, which is mentioned, is the Bradley Gang massacre. And I think they hinted with the discovery of that vehicle that that was the Bradley Gang. that disappeared after the robbery, and their bodies were never found. The vehicle was never found, and I think that's the first Easter egg, the hint towards what season 2 is going to be about. And they've also hinted that season 3 will go backward again and it will go to 1908. Hopefully, if season 2 is as successful, because we up to now we still haven't gotten like official confirmation that they're gonna get the season 2 and 3, but plans are in motion for it. Um, Other Easter eggs are like what you mentioned. They made mention of Shawshank Redemption, Dick Halloran in himself, The Shining, his abilities, and we see them in full force being exploited by the military. The thing that really went out of the box, well, we all know from these Stephen King novels, well, those of us who have read, we know that it is an ancient entity that has been around for quite some time. The mythos in the book is a bit more convoluted in terms of that universe, the macroverse, and all that stuff. So thankfully, they didn't go so far into it to confuse the living daylights out of the audience here. They just went into the indigenous Indians and their part in trying to keep the entity in this invisible cage, because if this thing gets out into the world, well, you all know what would happen, right? In terms of the expansion of the Stephen King universe and its connection with other things, like I mentioned before, Stephen King, he has said, he has gone on record saying that all his novels are connected, all of them exist within the same universe. And I agree with Ricardo. I would like to see maybe if they want to do like multiple stories in one season to make it more interesting, like not everything Pennywise, they could expand into other more creepier stuff. Because again, you have the stand as well too. The entity, what they were saying is that the entity in the stand is related to Pennywise, the clown as well too. Maybe they could go into that avenue as well too. But really and truly, after after all the stuff that we've seen, all the great stuff that we've seen in this first season, I would say Andy Muschietti has more than made up for the crap that he did with chapter 2 in the sequel film. And I think he and his writers really, I don't know if they listened to the people or they did their research. I think they really did a lot of research, and maybe they got a lot of guidance from Stephen King himself in terms of not not convoluting the entire thing. That was my main issue with it, hoping that they wouldn't mess up the mythos and make it so confusing that the normal audience who are not really in tune or know about the backstory of it or of Stephen King novels wouldn't like it, because they're like, well, what is this messy thing, you know? And again, the jump scares, the ones that were very visceral, like the ones that you guys mentioned with the umbilical cord and so many other things, like the supermarket scene with Lily's father, all those things, just very messed up things. And in a way, like you all said, the it entity is so wicked and ruthless. You're basically traumatizing these children just so that they could ramp up the fear so that he could feed. He goes into this frenzy because he likes the fear. He says that the fear makes them taste sweeter. Very sickening, but it's true.
Oh, I
Um,
think you're gonna mention this, Ricardo. I'm not sure, but he
uh-huh.
mentioned something in the last episode about dark meters.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
Pennywise, bruh.
I know
I was
that
with
made
you.
my
I was with
skin
you up until this
ooh.
point. If I could have come through that screen, I'd slap you for saying that. What the hell was that, bro? What was that?
I know. When he said it, I was like, oh my god, why, dude?
Mhm.
Screw.
Yeah, you know. But
But
why this works?
here.
I think. Oh yeah, sorry. Finish, Alicia. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, like I was just thinking how yeah, what it does again, what it does well, it alludes to real world like evil and bad behavior, and then
Hmm.
alludes, but doesn't make it a. Like the one thing I love about what King is that he doesn't make it a matter of, well, oh, this is the reason it's happening because of these demons or whatever. Like no, it's happening because of real evil. They come in after the fact. Like that's why it works. Like it's that doesn't take away the agency aspect of it. And yeah, and well, another thing is too is that how like great the lighting and just effects of this is in general. Like I final episode had so many great shots of this, like putting Pennywise in darkness and then having his eyes like glowing and stuff like that. I was just so impressed with a lot of these visuals. A lot of this is a lot of every frame of painting kind of shots. They come good with that, bro. I say Muschietti, he fixed himself from again the last. You thought the second it would kind of suck. Yeah, I agree. And well, the Flash, right? Like he helped himself from that, right? So yeah, this was solid stuff. I hope we get more.
Oh, lastly, just before we get to Alicia, before you wrap up, right? I had to give Andy, props for sneaking in a Flash comic. I was like, ha ha
Right.
ha ha! I see what you did there in the first episode. I see what you did there, Andy. I see you. I see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah. So, also too, I'm with you guys. So that song, the opening credit sound, my goodness, a smile on a ribbon, and looking at those shots in between because, and over the years, I don't know if you guys have noticed in horror films, they like to use these chirpy old time 1950s songs to creep the people out.
Yeah,
Notice?
it's a tried and true way
Try on
of
true.
creeping
Yeah.
you out.
Yeah,
Yeah, try on true
yeah,
juxtaposition. Nice
yeah.
workable juxtaposition. Yeah.
Yeah, they love to do it. And the thing about it is, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but on TikTok there are a lot of people who a lot of fans who have been watching along it Welcome to Derry, and they would actually show their reaction to always the opening sequence in these episodes, always something very creepy and disturbing and scary happens on the opening before the credits roll, right? And you would see their reactions to the screen and they're like cringing and stuff. It's like, ew.
Oh,
And then
I
all of
need
a
to check
sudden,
that out. I need to check one out. Yeah.
yeah. And then all of a sudden, the song would come on and they would actually be on their feet dancing to the song.
Right.
And believe you me, I am one of those. I wouldn't get up and dance to the song, but the song it really sticks in your head because I would be doing housework and I would be humming the song. So it really gets into your head because it's a catchy song. It's just that we know that the underlying meaning of it, in terms of what is being used in context, is
Right.
very disturbing. You know, but yeah, that one of the best how you say musical scores
Well,
for a television series.
yeah, that's one point
Mm-hmm.
I want to make about that, right? If I just have a
Mm-hmm.
teeny tiny gripe, is that I
Uh-huh.
wish that the last two shots that you see before we see the logo officially, I thought they were going
Yeah.
to explain those or at least dive into those time periods in at least the last two episodes, but they didn't, right? So that's why I'm glad that we have two more seasons coming up. So at least they could
Yeah.
give us a little bit more detail into those shots, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really hope so. I have a little anxiety when it comes to the next two seasons because um they're excited and we know okay it is very has been very successful and it has made it onto the top series on a lot of people's list. My worry is they see this acquisition of Netflix with Warner Brothers and stuff. I'm a little
Yeah.
worried because Netflix does not
Okay.
have a good. Yeah.
At least Paramount didn't get it. Paramount could be worse. I feel so.
You think so?
I
Well,
think so.
I don't
I think
trust Netflix either
yeah, true.
because
No, no, it's still bad, but it's not as bad. It
yeah,
could be worse. I feel it could be
yeah,
worse.
I'm a bit
I don't know.
nervous
Whatever.
because the thing is, I don't know what is their basis in terms of how how they feel when they want to choose to cancel a series or not.
Yeah, arbitrary. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know what is their basis. They didn't do it with Stranger Things. So they let them finish off. But there were a lot of other good series that they had previously that they just one, two seasons, bam, done.
Yeah, God,
Like
yeah.
Hemlock Grove is one of them that up to now I'm very irritated about.
But the thing
They just got
is
two
unclear.
seasons and Mhm.
What happens is that they have always hide their ratings because usually ratings is the number one factor. If it's making money, you go get canceled. If
Mhm.
it's too popular, so Stranger Things is going to be hard for them to cancel because that's too popular. but like I don't know what they remember. They always hide their ratings. We have no idea what they do
Yeah.
now. In that sense, so like a show could be good, it could be genuinely good, but like if you're not making
Hmm.
the money, they will cancel, which is like normal network thing now. But like I don't
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Netflix arbitrary, boy. Like sometimes come across where we're like, what? They canceled that? Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why I'm a little worried about the series, but hopefully because of the resounding success of the series, they would let them at least do the 3 seasons,
yeah.
you know? Or at least let them finish second season. Let's see if they still maintain the momentum with the second season. If they do decide to follow through with going back 27 years to 1935, and they do the Bradley Gang massacre and see about that stuff, because in the finale is hinted that these kids or the adults, ancestors of the adults, will again be directly involved in battling its entity once again. So we're gonna have to see if the writers will be able to maintain this momentum. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But so far, well, I have to say, so far we are at the end of the year. But in all the TV series that I've watched for the year, it Welcome to Derry was a most welcome surprise. The last episode actually is I don't give away perfect scores very easily when I'm rating my stuff. The last episode got a 5 out of 5 for me, and it Welcome to Derry is my number one television series for 2025. Very
Nice,
happy with the
nice.
results. Yeah.
All right. Well, with that being said, yeah, you could give your rating and final thoughts. I'll give mine, and Ricardo could close off. So yeah, rating. What's your rating?
5 out of 5.
Okay. All right. I can live with that. I
Yeah,
can live with that.
yeah, 5 out of 5.
Yeah, for
Mm.
me, decent to strong 4.5 out of 5. This is easily top 5 for me. I can't see that it is top 3. I can't even. I will not say that it is number 1. There's another show. Ricardo knows what it is, but that's not. But when we get there, right? When we get there, we get there, right? But yeah, this was a surprise for me, boy. I did not expect to enjoy this as much as I did, especially after it chapter 2 burned me the way it did, because went on my birthday and saw it, and went to a bar with Ricardo and say, this is real shit, right? But yeah, in terms of just given us a great background into the myth of Pennywise, without giving away too much, without demystifying him basically, and framing him within the context of early 60s America. Makes a lot of sense. Again, acting, directing, strong across the board. I should also mention though that the music though, that guy, Benjamin Wallfish, I think that's how he pronounces his name, who's like a resident composer with Warner Bros. Like every time they need a composer, hey Benji, you doing anything? Yeah, you know what I mean? Dude did, like, I think he worked on the It films, he worked on Mortal Kombat, he worked on Flash. Like every time
Right.
he's like the resident composer. Like you need work, like, yo, let me bring him in and he'll do a great job, right? I love the score that he did for this though. Just expressive in all the right ways with the musical cues, all that kind of stuff. It's menacing when it needs to be. It's adventurous when it needs to be. It's heartwarming and heartbreaking when it needs to be. Absolutely love his score here, right? So yeah, love this show, and I can't wait to see what we get with the second season, which I'm definitely excited for. So yeah, Ricardo, you close things off. Your final thoughts, Peter.
This was an excellent outing. Just good production value, good acting, the great storytelling across the board. And this comes from somebody who's not like some super Stephen King fan or horror fan, but you can't deny the quality here. This is really excellent stuff, and I thoroughly dug it. Yeah, rating, give it like a 9 out of 10, probably closer to 8.5 is anything. But like, this was excellent stuff.